to you live from the Picket Studios in Houston, Texas. This is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
Good morning, Houston. Thank you for joining us here at the Realty Ruckus, right out of the Picket Realty Studios. It feels good to be back in Houston, Texas, after a quick little trip out to old Bama. And man, was that a trip. Thank you guys for joining us today. Don't forget that you can post any of your comments, questions, concerns, whatever it is you want to talk to us about down below on YouTube Live, Facebook Live. Thank you guys again for joining us. We have a phenomenal show planned out for you, and we can't wait to tell you all about the shenanigans we went through this weekend and everything that has to do with real estate and what is happening right now here in Houston. So just to tell everyone what our trip was like. What would you say in like a few words, David? What was your take on our Alabama trip? How awesome was it?
Well, besides Bama. How much can I guess I can say kicking ass. They kicked ass.
Yeah, for sure. It was
they won big.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think you summed it up pretty well. Shenanigans.
Lots of shenanigans. And that's what happens when you take one of those road trips. I forget sometimes, And just because we're, busy working and operating a business and doing all these things, it doesn't mean that every once in a while you can't just hop in a car and take off and just drive.
Yeah.
And how awesome did it feel to just be in the car and we at one point we were so bored that BB and I made the Game of Thrones song. We just literally hummed it. If you didn't catch that, check out my Facebook page. And can you believe we got like 250 views on that?
I can believe that.
250 people, 250 of you guys watched me hum Game of Thrones. Yeah, it was just a good little trip. We took we just went out there. We there was a lot of Texas A&M folks out there. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people went out there.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive to see the amount of support that they got. And of course, they were all upset afterwards and left immediately after the game was done. But
they started leaving before the game was done.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. But what I thought was real cool is that man, that just getting back to that setting, that atmosphere, just seeing what it's like to go and just be back in college for a little bit.
It almost felt like we were back in college for.
It did. It felt exactly. Man, I remember going through those days. I remember having to go through those problems, and it was kind of cool, just letting them know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that there was a reason why they were there, and not just to party and go to football games. There was more to it than that. So I thought that was really awesome, and it's kind of a cool deal just to get out and get your head out of everything. We on a daily basis, if you're in real estate. And hopefully everyone that's watching us is, because this is a real estate related show. If you're in real estate on a daily basis, you're operating a business. And the people that are doing the best out there operate their business more like a business and less like a hobby. And those who are kind of just still trying to make it is because they fail to see this as a business. Now, if you're operating the business and you haven't gotten to the point where you can subcontract pieces of your business, basically hire other people to help you with those things that are necessary, or find ways to automate things, which is one of the things we're going to talk about here a little later. You catch yourself in a scenario sometimes where you are doing everything. Like you do everything. You wake up and you have to lead generate. You have to go talk to a seller or a buyer, whichever side of the business that you're on, you're having to go out and meet with people. You have to, maybe create a website or create a flyer. And I mean, if you don't know someone that can do that for you or quick enough on your feet to go just sub it out real quick on Fiverr or something like that, you're having to learn all these things yourself. And because of that, sometimes you get bogged down so much, and I know because I've been there, that taking a little trip like the one we took this weekend is completely impossible. Completely impossible.
That's sad.
It is sad, and I know the feeling because I have been there. Like I have been that person that is in a trip in Florida visiting family or whatever, and I'm like on the phone the whole time because I didn't have someone to help me take a phone call or follow up with a client or shoot a quick text back or something like that. And so one of the things we want to talk to you guys here just a little bit is something that's brand new, and a lot of agents have been talking about it. People are so excited. It is something called AI, artificial intelligence. And when we get back, we're going to take a quick little break. We want to tell you all about how the market is getting ready to change, because there's a new system, new technology coming that is going to make all of your following up completely automatic. This is some really cool stuff. Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can live tweet us at Realty Ruckus. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube live, where we can answer all of your questions live on the air. David, how's the weather out there this week?
Well, let me look that up real quick since we were just having some technical difficulties trying to fix the sound.
From what we understand, if you're on Facebook for some reason you cannot hear, so we're gonna have to just test that just a few seconds and make sure that you guys can hear us, because otherwise you're not gonna get a chance to hear all of the really cool stuff we're getting ready to try to talk to you about regarding some of the new technology that's coming onto the market. So give us just a few seconds, and then if you can, please let us know what you guys are hearing out there, because you should be able to hear. Okay, I just got a thumbs up from someone. All right. Thank you guys. All right, very cool.
All right, just ask if they can hear us.
Nobody?
No one's commenting. No, they can't hear us.
There's no reason why. Like, I don't have any reason over here why.
Could it be my phone?
It's probably your phone. You've always had a problem with the microphone on your phone.
Not really. It's always been a problem with the sound, but I have no clue.
It's got to be your phone, though.
Can the YouTube live hear us right now?
We'll go on YouTube and see.
Yeah, YouTube is fine.
You can hear YouTube?
YouTube is fine.
You can hear it now.
Okay, he said perfect. Said perfect now. Hold on.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday.
It's
for
fading
new
out.
episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook.
You're running your
for
closing.
replays of
You're running your
previous
closing.
episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep
Yeah, it's just running through all the sounds. But is it playing through Facebook now? Or is that, if that what I hear, that audio, is that the feedback?
That's your feedback that you're getting on Facebook.
I'm not, there's no reason for it. It's your phone.
My phone.
All right. Well, let's.
Said I can't hear anything on Facebook. Do whatever you did.
No, that's all I did was disconnect this. Your phone.
Just disconnect it.
All right. Well, let's.
Said I can't hear anything on Facebook. Do whatever you did.
No, that's all I did was disconnect this. But that came through on the Facebook message?
It was good for a second.
But that came through on the Facebook message?
That's on our Facebook Live feed. Test, test.
Oh, because it runs behind, so.
No, it's picking up the microphones.
Yeah.
That's right now.
It's just a lot of feedback.
All right. I think it works. What was that all about?
No idea. Go ahead.
All right. So are we back? Do we get another intro, or do we restart, or do I just pick up and start just rambling like I normally do?
Let's just go segment one. Just restart the timeline. It's no problem.
There you go. Guys, thank you so much for dealing with us with that live on the air. I love that. I love it when that happens. Technical difficulties are the best. Normally during TV, like the little, lines come on, and there's like a little loud little beeping sound, But
You
You need to mute that or we're going to get feedback.
there we go. Ramble on, says Patrick. I sure will, my friend. I sure will. All right, so we wanted to talk about some new technology that's coming onto the market. Now that we are live and on the air and you guys can hear us, now I can share some of this information with you guys. So, all right, there are a few agents here recently on Facebook and other medias who are talking about how their business is going to skyrocket next year, and how things are going to magically change for them, and these things are going to happen that are going to make their business just go to the next level. And I get that. Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to talk about that, and everybody wants their business to grow. But the things that these agents have been saying are almost, they almost sound unheard of and impossible. And they're talking about creating an artificial intelligence, right? So what this thing is, and by the way, the name of the software is Skylar 360. Skylar 360. All right. And the cool thing about the software is that it's set up so that it can automatically text responses, intros, and everything, right, to any potential clients or any missed calls or any missed, whatever, any leads, you name it. So it's set up so that it knows what to say, when to say it, how to say it, this, that, and the other. And I'm assuming, like with any artificial intelligence, BB, correct me if I'm wrong, you know a little bit more about technology than I do. You have to tell it first. You have to tell it, these are the things I expect you to say. This is how I want you to react. This is how I want you to...
No, that's exactly how artificial intelligence doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
That's the crazy thing, man. That's the crazy thing.
So artificial intelligence is so smart that it will know automatically what to respond.
Well, the way that the new artificial intelligence works is it works through a system called a neural network, which is just a really nerdy term for it looks at everyone's data everywhere. And it starts to learn responses based off of the way that people respond to certain things. So think about it for a second, like whenever you're using your keyboard on your phone and you're typing a message, and it automatically can predict the words that come next.
Right.
Well, it's doing that because it's going through and reading, for example, hundreds of millions of emails that people have typed. And normally after somebody uses the phrase, I am going, it knows that the next word is usually to.
Right.
And then the next word is usually the. And so it starts to automatically make those predictions. So the way that these new artificial intelligence systems work is that they're based off of all of this data, right? That's why data is so expensive. I always say, like, the tech company valuations make no sense to me because right now it doesn't make sense. But when you think about how valuable that data is in the future, for companies like this, think about how many people are going to be willing to pay for software. They can already read all that information. It can read what the message says, try to make sense of it, and then make a response that is a common response to that similar type of question.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it totally makes sense. And, one of the things that I did in our business was create this system, right, through real intelligence. And I hired a VA, and I said, hey, I need you to respond to all of these missed calls, texts, and leads that we get all day, because I know normally... those kind of things fall through the cracks when you're busy, when you're out meeting with people, when you're, doing a radio show or whatnot. You have to make sure that something or someone is continuously answering that. Now, I can see how artificial intelligence could change the game for most real estate agents out there, because I'm assuming it's going to be just something that you can pay a service fee for.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I haven't really looked into them, but one thing I can tell you is that there's going to be a big difference between like value and the actual expense. So those systems are expensive, and they usually run a couple $100 a month minimum, or it's usually like a one-time sign-up fee of like $7,500 to $15,000, right? Depending on which system it is and how good it actually is. The other problem is you can never know exactly how to rely on it, because AI is not quite there yet. So it still takes a lot of setting up. It still takes a lot of knowing, getting to know your data, getting to know your industry. So I just don't think that we're quite there yet. We're getting there, but in my opinion, we're not quite there yet to where the cost will say, okay, well, it's worth it to go with artificial intelligence over an actual human being.
Yeah, because you're still going to have to spend all this time setting it up and making sure that it works right and overseeing it and all this other stuff.
Yeah, and the problem is what happens when the system fails.
Yeah.
You still need someone who's able to fix it every time it fails.
So you're going to need your AI person, and you need to hire an assistant of some sort to help you overlook the AI.
Exactly.
So
right now, in my opinion, you're almost better off, like you said, setting it up through a VA and just having real intelligence in place of the artificial intelligence.
It just makes more sense to me that way.
Now, in the future, as artificial intelligence gets better, which I think within the next year or two, it'll get to the point where now it'll make sense to buy those kind of systems. And also, the cost of those systems is going to start to drop. Because as more artificial intelligence gets created, you get more competition in that market, and it's going to drive prices down.
Exactly.
Right now, prices can be basically whatever anybody says they want them to be, because there is no competition.
Yeah, because there'll be the 5 or 10 mega agents that'll jump on it thinking it is going to really double or triple their business, not realizing they probably could have spent a lot less just getting a VA to do it.
Well, and this kind of takes me back to like actually our trip to Bama. On the way there and back, a lot of the time in the car we just spent shooting ideas back and forth and just talking about stuff. And a lot of what we talked about is how is the real estate industry going to change. And down the line, I mean, this is going to affect the industry somehow.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, and I'm glad you did, because one of the things that I think people don't realize is, you know, when guys like us hop in a car and go to Alabama, yeah, we were in the car for 10 hours. What did we actually do in that car besides hum Game of Thrones? We did a little mastermind session, right? We created a company, by the way, a company that we decided was going to be the game changer in the next 10 years, because we think that real estate will eventually change completely and try to phase out the real estate agent. And I see evidence of that all the time. You know, I see evidence of companies out there doing that. They're trying their hardest to phase out the real estate agent. And a perfect example are some of the other industries like Airbnb. You know, they're impacting the hotel industry.
They're the biggest hotel company in the world.
Now they are the biggest hotel company in the world,
and they own no hotels.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's they don't even own a single one. And look what they did. They basically cut out the middleman. They cut out the hotel, and they said, hey, if you want to lease your house and you want to rent it for a night or two, great. Let's put one and one together and make it work. Right? So anyway, we got to take a quick little break. Thank you guys for joining us. We do apologize for the technical difficulties, but we'll be right back and we're going to continue our conversation. And thank you again.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can live tweet us at Realty Ruckus. You can also catch us live on Facebook and YouTube, where we can answer all of your questions live on the air. Now, if anybody out there who's listening works for a T-Mobile location, Alan's phone is defective and he wants a warranty exchange.
Yes. If you want to help me out and you work at a T-Mobile location, I would appreciate you helping me switch out my phone, because it's having some major issues, and it's not very old at all.
No, it's only a few months old, but you know, it's one of those things where it started off with a few issues, and changing out a phone is so annoying. It's probably the single most frustrating thing that you can do. And because you have to transfer all your contacts, and that's one thing where I got to say Apple got it right, because they make an exchange so easy. You literally transfer from one device to the other, and your new device looks identical to your old device.
Yeah. I'm glad Google's finally jumping on board with that with the Pixel.
It's about time, because that's the most annoying part for me. It's like every time I go to a new phone, it's like starting from scratch.
Yeah, and it takes you months to get back to where you had your original phone.
Months.
And by the time, well, it takes me months. I just got this phone back to the original phone that I had, right? Because this is an exchange phone, or I actually went and upgraded because the old one just kind of quit working for me. And I just got it to where the old phone was, and now we're talking about going back and getting another one. You know?
Yeah, well, but the problem is your phone's had problems since the day you got it. But it's just like those small problems, like, well, the speaker doesn't sound great. Well, whoever uses a speaker on a phone anyways, right? Everyone uses headphones
I've ignored that the whole time.
or a Bluetooth speaker,
Yeah.
so who really cares? And then the problem is now it's getting more and more and more defective. It has bigger consequences.
And now it's affecting the Ruckus.
And now it's affecting the Ruckus.
It's affecting life now. Oh, man. Hey, Patrick says, hey, I like to talk to a real person. Patrick Mahoney, thanks a lot for joining us.
Well, see,
Patrick.
that's the whole point of AI, though, is that you don't know if you're talking to a real person or a computer. And when AI is really, really good,
well, yeah, because it's set up to text you, not talk to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, you won't actually be talking with anyone. It's the same as like a VA.
Yeah.
They'll be texting with you or emailing with you, but you never know whether it's a real human or it's not a real human. And the reason I'll tell you why I know that AI is not quite there yet, because you always have to look at like the big companies and are they utilizing AI yet? And they're right now bigger companies like Google, GoDaddy, some of the big companies that have a lot of access to technology. They haven't jumped completely on the AI train. So they use AI for like very simple chats, like, oh, somebody has a problem. Let the AI collect basic information. So what's your name? What's your telephone number? And then all of a sudden, once you've been chatting with them, you see a real human jump on board to start to solve your problem. So I think that right now the AI is strong enough to get basic data. So for example, somebody says, hey, I'm interested in buying a house. The AI would be smart enough to say, okay, well, what part of town are you looking for?
Yeah, this one apparently
how much do you want to spend, you know?
Yeah, this software can pre-qualify people.
Yeah, so it just collects a bunch of data. That's very simple. So it's not to the point yet where it can have a full-on interactive conversation with you, which is okay. It's not there yet. And you'll know it when it's there, because you'll see the big companies, GoDaddy, Google, the giants that have the access to technology utilizing that on their websites. Mm-hmm. And once you see it on their websites, now you know technology is ready. It's about to go consumer-wide. Yeah. And the reality is we're all consumer-wide. Yep. None of us are a giant tech company. None of us have the access to the most groundbreaking, newest, innovative technology. We all get it as it comes out to the mainstream. Sure. We're just maybe like right before mainstream because we're business. And business tends to get it just slightly before the general population. But it's not, in my opinion, not quite there yet. Keep talking to real people for now.
Am I safe just using a VA to do all of my follow-ups?
Oh, I think so. I mean, because when you think about it, let's say that you're spending, I don't know, what is it? Maybe $300 a month. I'm just taking a wild guess that's somewhat what that service would cost. Does it say on there how much it costs, David? Can we get some pricing information?
No, there's no pricing information. There's just
typically when there's no pricing information on a tech company's website, it means that it's really expensive.
Okay. Let me go to that. I've been on the article that Champions put out. Let me actually try to look up the.
Yeah, let's see if we can't find an actual price for it.
By the way, we'll drop the article below as well, so you guys can take a look at that. And if you want to look into what it may cost you or how it may help your business, definitely do it. Here's the thing: regardless of whether you have AI or VA or any of these other, two-letter acronyms.
It's all about you doing less. Yeah.
It's about you figuring out a way to do less and therefore do more.
Yeah.
So
do less and make more.
And make more. So you guys were in the car with me during this weekend while we were traveling to Alabama. And I showed you a couple of the text messaging campaigns that were happening.
They're phenomenal.
Live. And some of which were complete, follow-ups from beginning all the way to the end to saying, hey, are you ready to submit an offer or not?
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool because, we're sitting there having a good time talking and going through strategy and whatnot. And in the background, there's this VA in the Philippines. Her name's Ann. She's awesome. And she's just knocking away these standard questions that everyone has to ask. Everyone has to do it. You know what I mean? Like if you're in real estate, there's like a set of at least 5 to 10 questions that you have to ask every person that you come in contact with.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're messing up. But the thing is, that's what I was trying to say in the beginning is you get so overwhelmed and bogged down that you don't have time to do it all. You don't have the ability to do it. If you want to do a good job, you have to follow up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But sometimes you're busy with life. You're busy doing something else and you can't. So that was pretty nice in my opinion. That was one of the greatest things about going out there and saying, hey, okay, fine. Yeah, we're going to go out there. We're going to spend some time and maybe just relax for a little bit. But all these follow-ups are still happening and whatnot. So if you're watching and you don't have a systematic way to follow up, I think it's time for you to look into it. And whether you go with Skylar 360 or any VA out there that can help you do it, I mean, that's the way to go. That's the way to get yourself.
Well, and that's getting back to what I was saying earlier regarding pricing. I'm just going to take a wild guess and say it's about $300 a month.
No pricing. The
okay. So typically, so for those of you out there who've never signed up for any kind of tech company, let me give you a breakdown of how it normally works. Most tech companies will put their pricing directly on their website, and nowadays the subscription service is the way that everything is billed. So hardly anything you pay for in advance now. So it's all going to be anywhere between $7 a month all the way upwards of $300, $400, $500 a month. Yeah. When you don't see on the website that it says pricing, typically it's because they're going to break it down into two components. There's going to be a sign-up fee that they're going to have to charge you, and they always say it's mandatory, which is usually somewhere in the ballpark between $2,500 all the way up to $15,000 I've seen for some very complicated signups. Mm-hmm. This one, I can't imagine that it's that complicated, so I'm going to guess it's probably like $3,500 to $5,000 a sign-up fee.
It's called an onboarding fee. I remember it.
Onboarding fee. Whenever you sign up for these bigger services, they always charge that to you and make it seem like it's a benefit to you, even though it's just extra money for them.
Exactly.
And then it's the monthly fee. So let's say that it's $3,000 plus $300 a month, right? You're looking at $3,600 a year in monthly sign-up fees plus your initial $3,000. That's $6,600. Okay. Now break that out and figure out how many hours you can pay a VA at $3 an hour. That's 2,200 hours. Okay, across the year that you could get out of that VA. If your VA can justify that for the next year until those prices drop and AI gets better, then go with the VA. It's all the same at the end of the day.
Sure.
The only nice thing about the VA is that when they have an actual human question that artificial intelligence doesn't have the answers for, you can trust that person can use logic to figure that out.
Yep.
And not have to worry about, are they going to answer something ridiculous or not be able to answer at all?
Yeah, because I mean, I can imagine if a consumer asks a question and the response is really strange and out there and robotic even.
You're
someone's
gonna be
like, someone's gonna be like, who is this person? Like, why do they say that? You know what I mean? Or if someone responds with like an LOL and the AI is like, what is that? Doesn't even know what it is.
Well, think about like the automatic replies, or sometimes you'll get an email that seems kind of directed to you, but not really.
Yeah.
And it feels impersonal.
Yeah.
And that's where AI is right now. It's still impersonal. It hasn't quite caught up to being personalized and making you feel like you're talking completely to a human. Now, I always say, though, there's two aspects to everything, right? There's data collection and then there's data analysis. And you have to look at those two factors. Data collection can be done by anything. Like, I wouldn't say a monkey, but pretty close to a monkey could do data collection for you. And then you have your other part, which is data processing, which that's what takes more intelligence. That's where I think the human factor still has to come into play, because you don't want an AI doing all of that for you. There's always breaks and chinks in the chain. And so even like when I program spreadsheets to do thinking for me, I always have to go back and do logic tests and make sure, is my spreadsheet actually doing what I want it to do? And I think the same thing applies here. And for you to just say, okay, single-handedly, I'm going to allow all of my business into this AI is a little scary to me. I wouldn't be comfortable yet.
So for the agents that are out there saying that their business is going to triple or double, is that reasonably possible?
I do believe so, and I'll tell you why. Because those people are probably doing data collection on their own right now. And like I said, there's two components. There's a data collection, there's a data analysis. By them just removing the data collection portion off of their own plate, yes, I do believe that they can double or triple their business.
Yeah.
That's without them changing hardly anything else, because they're getting more time to do what they're good at, which is go out and meet with people, rather than having to sit there and say, well, what's your name? What's your phone number?
And type it into a
how much
CRM.
are you looking to spend? Are you pre-qualified yet? And all of that portion of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That really is very time consuming, and yes, it produces income, but you yourself, the business owner, the practitioner, shouldn't be doing it.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So, hey, I want to talk to you guys a little bit before we run out of time. I want to talk to you guys about something that just happened at White Oak Music Hall. Have you guys ever been there? I mean, I hear that it's a phenomenal place to just go out. And I heard like great concerts happen there and whatnot. I haven't been there personally myself, but I read a report that Houston shut it down. And they shut it down because they considered it an illegal construction. They gave it a red tag. Now, that's
not completely accurate.
Well, this is me reporting. All right.
Yeah. This is
give me the accurate report.
Hertz International over here. Let me give you the actual report. So what happened is they have two stages. They have an indoor stage and they have an outdoor stage.
That's right.
Apparently, they never got permitted for the outdoor stage, and it never got approved.
So basically, they were like, "All right, I'm just going to build a stage. I'm going to go to."
We got to remember the people who own it. They're really good friends with the mayor's office. They help set up Free Press Summerfest every year. So they feel like they have a lot of pull. Mm-hmm. And so I'm guessing they were thinking, oh, well, who cares? We're going to build a stage, no big deal. No one's going to tell us anything.
I'm friends with the mayor. What do you got to worry about?
Exactly. And then they go out and they get red tagged for it. And now they're making them, they cannot utilize that stage. They had concerts planned for that outdoor stage.
Yeah.
All of those concerts, if you go to their website, now say they've been moved to the indoor stage. And they're saying, oh, we're going to build it. And they've got construction crews out there doing things to it. But the plans, as of right now, are still unapproved. So this is showing you that, like, no matter who you are or who you think you are, you can't get around the city of Houston's building permits.
Yeah, there's always that inspector that's going to drive by and be like, hey, I didn't see a permit for that stage.
Yeah.
Red tag.
Yeah, you walk out and be like, but Sylvester's my friend. And they're like, I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll red tag him too.
Yeah.
There's that inspector, and we've run across that inspector so many times in our end of the business, and especially when you're doing rehabs or when you have a client that's doing a rehab and they want to play the old I don't want to pull permits game, and almost every investor you come across these days that's just getting started wants to go that route. Like only the savvy ones know better. Only the ones that have actually wasted time, money, and effort trying to cheat the system know better than to not go that route. But there's like this whole batch of guys that are I feel like they're like made in like some sort of seminar. They go to like a seminar for a weekend and then they leave and they're like, all right, I'm ready to go buy houses and flip them and I'm gonna use private money and I'm gonna go out there and I'm not gonna pull permits because I'm gonna do everything under the table. You know, and it's like, dude, you are setting yourself up for pure failure because if White Oak Music Hall couldn't pass through, they're friends with the mayor and you're not either,
Yeah, it's gotten progressively harder to get around a city.
Yeah.
I remember a time when you could do almost anything unpermitted, and now you're going to get red tagged almost every single time.
Yeah.
If you're one of the few people who's made it through a project lately without being permitted, good for you, but also know that now it's getting even more difficult because the city's doing things in the background and with the utility companies to where if you don't do things right, people could actually lose their utilities after you sell the house to them, and you could be sued.
Yeah. Oh, we got some info to give you on that. It's crazy what's been happening with the city, how much power they have right now, and why you should definitely pull your permits. We got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can always live tweet us at Realty Ruckus. You can also find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where you can comment and ask your questions, and we will answer them live on the air for you. Now today we are talking about some really good information, AI, but we want to jump into the permit conversation because White Oak Music Hall recently got red tagged for one of their permit situations, and they're best friends with the mayor.
So I want to just, make sure that everyone out there understands what a red tag even is. If you're a real estate agent, you probably have heard of it. However, many of you probably haven't, and you usually hear of red tagging generally when you're in the real estate investment industry. You hear more of it when you're actually out there flipping houses yourself, renovating houses. If you're in construction, you get a chance to be exposed to that. When you're a real estate agent, you don't get a lot of exposure to that. You just know that the city, has a process for you to pull permits, and that's really the extent of what most agents know.
Well, I love it because I think that there must have been some kind of seminar or a class that they did or something, because I feel like a lot of agents are becoming more and more, not intelligent, more and more knowledgeable when it comes to permitting. Because a couple of the flips that we've done recently, everyone knows you have to fill out a seller's disclosure form. Mm-hmm. One of the things on a seller's disclosure form says, has any work been done on this property that requires a permit without a permit being pulled?
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. People did a full-blown rehab and then put, no, I didn't do anything that didn't require a permit.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
But now real estate agents are actually going on the city website, mm-hmm. where you can go and you can search by address, mm-hmm. type in the address and see the entire permitting history for that address. Mm-hmm. Now that's huge. We're going to post that link down below.
Huge.
But if you just want to find it on your own, just go to Google and type in City of Houston permit search. Okay, and that's how you can search for the permits. That's different than inspections. This is to see what permits were pulled on a property. Mm-hmm. Now, you can also go to the City of Houston inspection site once you have the project number, if one even exists. Because you may go on there and be like, hey,
there were no permits pulled.
You redid all the plumbing, you redid all the electrical, new roofing, you did foundation work, new framing, but why is there no permit pulled? And we recently had a property where this happened. One of our agents, and Manuel, I hope you don't mind me putting your business out there, but one of our agents...
Watching.
Yeah, he's watching right now.
Oh,
he's going to love this.
What's up, Manny? I'm going to tell your story. So Manuel was representing a buyer, and they went to go look at a property. And now Manuel actually knows a little bit more about permitting. He's actually done projects with us, mm-hmm. And he's partnered up on deals with White Picket. So he knows a little bit more than, I would say, the average agent.
Oh, yeah.
And when he went out there, he said, man, this rehab's really nicely done. But he came to me and he said, how can you help me find out if they pulled the permits? Because on the seller's disclosure, they put on there that they did no work that required permits.
Yeah, even though it's been completely renovated.
Oh, everything.
The seller's disclosure says, oh, nothing's been done unpermitted.
Exactly. And so...
Which doesn't make sense.
They get the home inspector to go out there. And of course, there's like tons of items on there.
Yeah.
The list is huge.
It's huge.
Of all the things that have been done that require a permit.
The biggest list.
It's the biggest list. It's the greatest list.
What's funny is they actually do this on actual radio too. Coming into work, they were doing the Trump impersonations as well.
So we get this crazy big list, and it has everything that could possibly ever be wrong with the house.
Oh, yeah, and I mean...
Fire hazards left and right.
Some of the things, just for example, like there's like electrical cables being run along the rafters of the roof, which is super not allowed. That's like a fire hazard waiting.
I mean, people may not understand what that means, but what that means is that if that cable overheats, it's directly touching an area that could literally just light on fire immediately and just burn your whole house down.
And it's susceptible for nails going through it. I mean, it's just a terrible situation the way that it was set up. And so Manuel, the agent, goes back to the buyers and says, "Hey, I need proof of all these permits being pulled." And of course,
goes back to the sellers.
It goes back to the sellers. And the sellers say, "Well, we didn't pull any permits. Like I'm sorry, we didn't." Now, guys,
I'm sorry.
For those of you who say, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I got through my project. No one ever caught me." You can be caught. And you know who you're going to get caught by? This one is new. I didn't know this until Manuel's situation.
Yeah.
The insurance company.
Ah.
So the insurance company, when they get the bid for the insurance, they say, "Hey, all of these pictures look like this house was fully remodeled, but we did a search in the City of Houston database, and there's no permits being pulled for any of this work." So the cost of the insurance per year went from like $1,600 to almost $4,000 a year,
right,
because of the added liability of all the unpermitted work that had been done at that property.
Think about that, though. It really makes sense for the insurance to do that. The insurance company
all day long,
should be terrified to insure this house.
Oh, yeah. No. And one of the other parts of it was everything that didn't meet the code in the inspection report had to be fixed prior to them insuring the property.
Yeah.
So not only was it going to get really expensive because they didn't pull the right permits, but on top of that, they wanted everything that was wrong fixed. Yeah. So that seller was looking at, I think they did an estimate on it, and it was like close to $30,000 to fix all that stuff that they did that was wrong. Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, he was going to have to cover like 5 years worth of the insurance difference for the seller, which was going to be about $3,000 per year for the next 5 years. So you're looking at $45,000 that this guy lost by not spending $2,500 and going and getting the permits and getting it done right.
Exactly. You know, Patrick says, you almost feel like you should hire someone to go pull your permits. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because yes, it's a pain in the butt to go pull them. I get that. Nobody wants to go sit at the city
just
all
such
day.
A waste of time is what it is. It's not hard, but they make the process tedious. Like you have to go in there, you get one number, and then you sit. Mm-hmm. And then you go to a desk, and they give you another number. And then you go upstairs, and you sit.
Yeah.
And then you wait for them to call your number. And then depending on whether you're doing a sidewalk or any kind of utilities or anything like that, then they send you to another room and you got to sit there. So it may be a 1 to 2 day process if your plans are perfect.
Yeah.
If your plans need repairs changes made, you got to go back a whole nother day or two.
And start over from step one.
Step one.
You got to love it.
So,
so there are companies out there that are permit running companies.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way that you do it, if you're going to do a big rehab, you probably want to get a company to draw your plans. All right. Because your permits will require plans. All right. And unless you're literally doing paint and carpet, you have to pull permits. All right. Yeah. If you're changing out fixtures, if you're changing out electrical, if you're changing out, you know what? I got a red tag one time for changing out appliances.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I was just about to say that if you use certain types of appliances, which are called decor appliances, they're direct connect. So the voltage gets connected directly to the appliance. It doesn't have a plug. You have to have a permit, or you'll be red tagged. Also, if you have a stove that has over 40,000 BTU burner, you have to have a permit. A lot of people don't know that. Water heaters, you have to have a permit to change a water heater. Okay? And guys, I get it. It's annoying, and it's like, oh, the city's just trying to get my money. But you know what? Those inspectors really do call out when things are done wrong. So they do help you as well. Stop thinking about it as I'm wasting money on a permit fee, and just look at it as I'm hiring the inspector.
Yeah.
And when you balance it out that way, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's the same as if I had gone and hired some engineer to come do the inspection.
Here's how you do save money, and I'll tell you why I think it does make sense to pull the permits.
Yeah.
You save money because if you don't know what you're doing and you're hiring, this one-man show contractor, we call them Juan-man shows. So if you're hiring that contractor and he's there and he's just, knocking things out his own way, he's gluing things with like pieces of gum or like duct tape or whatever, he's doing that kind of stuff. All you have to say is, I can't pay you until you pass your inspection.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we do that all the time.
Yep.
It's like, hey, sorry, I'm sorry, I can't pay you. You got to pass your inspection. And they're like, well, wait a minute, man, I'm done with the project. No, you're not. you didn't pass an inspection. I got to go hire someone to go fix this because you didn't do it right. You decided to use duct tape instead of, nails or whatever. So you need to go fix it.
And one thing that we have to understand is, even as a general contractor, and I know some general contractors that have gone to other states and gotten their licenses, and they're very knowledgeable. They know a ton about construction. Even they don't know every building code. They don't know all of the electrical codes, all of the plumbing codes, and man, don't even get me started with the HVAC codes. Like that, they're just so crazy. There's so many of them, right? So it's impossible for you to know every single code unless that's all you do is study code all day. Exactly. Okay, so if you don't, let the city inspectors do that for you. It's okay. It's not that big of an expense, and trust me, there's been more than one time that it has saved my butt because something was done really wrong, and the city came in and called it out. And I was able to go back to the contractor and say, hey, you need to come fix this right now or you're not going to get paid for it. Yeah. And they have to come back and do things the right way.
Well, here's another instance. When the buyer, you put the property, you're done with the property, it passes all city inspections, and then the buyer hires their own private inspector, right?
Yeah.
And then the private inspector is like this guy who has to earn his money. He can't just go in there and be like, man, this house was really well built and passed all inspections. He has to find something to say that's wrong about the house. And he comes up with all sorts of mumbo jumbo and gives you this other huge list of things that need to be done. Yeah. And then you say, hey, hold on a minute, because this house passed every city inspection, and no, we're not going to bring it up to this requirement. We're going to sell it at this requirement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one thing, like the city of Houston for a long time was under the 2008 codes. And before they moved, now they're under 2015, even though there's new 2016 codes. So home inspectors are going to go off of 2016. But if your permits were for 2015, there may be things in there that are potentially really expensive for you to change. So yeah, having those City of Houston inspections and getting your certificate of compliance, not your certificate of occupancy, that doesn't exist for single family in Houston, certificate of compliance where you can show that to them, makes a tremendous difference. I had to say that really, really fast. We got to jump to a break, guys. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
What do you love about White Picket?
I love that we work together as a team.
I love being professional while having fun.
I love the innovative approach we take every day.
I love the support we get to grow our business.
We love White Picket.
And I love empowering the next generation of realtors to live life by their own design. If you're looking to grow, come grow with us. Email join@teamwpr.com. Again, that's join@teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember, you can live tweet us at Realty Ruckus, and you can also find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where we can answer all of your questions and comments. Now, we're talking today about permitting, just because White Oak Music Hall, best friends of the mayor, they still got red tagged on a project, and we've all been red tagged on projects before. I know that probably our biggest fan out there, Curtis Warren. I'm sure he's even been red tagged before on projects.
Our biggest fan is not watching us today. How
He's not
sad
watching
is that?
today. I'm very
What
upset.
have we done wrong to lose our biggest fan?
I know,
Something's
right?
not
Let me see if I
today.
can tag him on this.
We need to get him
Make
on
sure
there.
he knows we're on right now so he can get on here and watch us.
I want to show proof that even guys that do a lot of building still get red tagged from time to time.
Everybody does. It's part of it.
It's part of it. But you want to get red tagged because something wasn't right, not because you didn't pull a permit.
Right.
So I want to tell some more of the consequences before we jump into talking about our events this week, because it is important that people understand the things that can happen when you don't pull your permits correctly. So number one that can happen is your fine is going to be doubled. So whatever your original permit cost was going to be, automatically doubled, right? Because you didn't pull it to begin with. So that's one big thing. So now you're having to spend twice as much as you didn't want to spend to begin with because you didn't want to spend it to begin with. So that just doesn't make any sense to me. That's one big consequence. Now, here's the second big consequence, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where the city really gets involved and gets involved with the utility companies. So what happens is while you're under construction, you have temporary utilities, right? And now most times when you close out your permit, you go in and they'll submit to the utility company for permanent utilities. Sometimes you get lucky and there's already a gas meter and an electrical meter there and you don't have to worry about that. But guess what? You're still under temporary utility status with the city of Houston, which means at any moment they can send that in to the utility companies and say, hey, this person's permit is too old. They haven't closed it out yet. You need to shut off their utilities. For those of you who say that's not possible, that doesn't happen, I know someone who that personally happened to. This was 2 years after they sold the property, okay? So they flipped it, property was sold. 2 years later, they get a nice little call from an attorney who says, hey, these people that you sold this property to are suing you because they just had their utilities shut off because you never closed your permits.
Oh, wow.
So the city actually went out and removed the gas meter and the electrical meter from the property. Now they had
It was one of those deals where was it the contractor or the investor that didn't pull the permits?
It was the
Or who's getting sued? I guess both parties are.
Well, it was the contractor who got sued because he was on the permit. So there was a permit in place, but the contractor thought, well, I'm just going to get the permit and never close it.
Right.
Right? So they got a permit and they never closed it.
Yeah.
Now, some people say, well, at least he pulled it to begin with. But no, if you don't close a permit, you're leaving yourself in that temporary status, right? So what happened is the city finally said, hey, this permit's old. Like, let's close it. And so they sent it out and they not deleted the permit, but they showed it as unfinished.
Right.
And sent it to the utility company for utility shutoff. The utility company said, oh, okay. They went out and they removed the gas meter and the electrical meter. They were able to get those meters back under another temporary, but what wound up happening, they sued the contractor. The contractor agreed to fix everything, but he had to go in and start ripping out sheetrock all over the house.
Wow.
So we're talking about a house that's completely finished, that they've been moved in and living in for 2 years.
That sucks.
And now he's having to go in, rip sheetrock down, rip ceilings down, because he had to get his framing re-inspected, all of his electrical rough-ins re-inspected, all of the plumbing rough-ins, the HVAC. And granted, he didn't rip out all the sheetrock in the whole house. But guys, this was about a 3-week ordeal to get all of this done. And it wound up costing the contractor probably, I would say, about $20,000 total. And on top of that, he still had to make a settlement with the homeowner because the homeowner couldn't live there during that time.
Yeah.
So he had to get them another place to live during the time. And he agreed to settle with them outside of court. I don't know what the amount was, but I can tell you it had to be somewhere in the ballpark of $5,000 to $10,000 to get that person to calm down and say, okay, here's a mutual release. All your permits are done now. So because he didn't want to do the permitting from the beginning and close them out correctly and call for the inspections, and I think it was more the fact that he didn't really know how to call for inspections. He'd never done a job that was permitted before. And so that was kind of his first gig, and it went horribly wrong for him.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that. It's not always about the immediate consequence of what happens. It can be about the consequence 2 years down the road. When somebody calls and says, hey, my child has bronchitis because there's mold in your HVAC that never got inspected by the city, and now I'm going to hold you responsible.
Exactly.
It's always those long-term consequences, and it's easy to forget about those in the moment because they don't happen for such a long time.
Yeah.
But if you don't prepare yourself for that, you're preparing yourself for failure is what you're doing.
Bronchitis, huh?
I don't know, bronchitis. Is that what kids get these days? Pneumonia, bronchitis.
Ain't nobody got time for that. So, hey, Curtis Warden is on, you guys. And Curtis, one of the things we talked about earlier was pulling permits and making sure that you're doing things the right way. But we also said that even the best, even the pros out there, also get red tagged and also run into scenarios where you gotta clear some of those up as you get those, clear them up, fix them up, and then that way you can close out your permit at the end. Anyway, we gotta move on because we're actually out of time, and we gotta tell you guys a little bit about some of the most amazing events happening.
The most amazing,
most hugest events ever happening this week. All right, and one of them happens to be tomorrow. Am I right?
Hey, White Picket has events, and we have the best events.
The best events.
Our events are the greatest
events. By the way, guys, go out and vote. You can go out.
Early
and
voting's going on right now.
Be a rock star. Go out there and do your part, and make sure that your vote is not wasted because you're sitting behind a desk. If you work a 9 to 5, tell your boss to go fly a kite and go out there and vote.
That's right.
All right, and do the right thing for your country. That's the only way to show.
It doesn't matter who you support, guys.
Yeah.
What matters is going out there and making your voice heard. And I'm tired of the argument of, well, I'm just one person, I can't change anything.
I can't stand that.
That's a kind of argument that makes no change.
Yeah.
The only way that we can change is for all of us to come forward and say what we want and what's best for us.
Exactly.
And go out there and vote.
Exactly.
So get out there and rock the vote.
I'm writing myself in as third party. You guys are welcome to vote for me. Just make sure that you put my name on there. All right. And I will make America great again.
That was very scary.
It was very scary. It is Halloween. Let's talk about Halloween.
Let's talk about some events. Tomorrow you can catch the White Picket kids over at PLF. We're going to be all dressed up.
Out, you guys.
We're hoping to win that costume contest.
We're going to win tomorrow. You guys are in for an amazing surprise.
But the day
we have a dragon coming. A dragon.
We have a dragon coming.
All right. That's just one hint of all the awesome ones that are coming out.
All right, so and then the day after we have Quest RA Fright Night. That's going to be from 6 to 10 p.m., and you can catch the links for that on the Houston Real Estate Events page. Just look up at Houston Real Estate Events. Again, that's from 6 to 10. I think they're expecting, 300 to 400 people out there.
Oh, yeah, Fright Night is so much fun.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's a really fun event.
I mean, we don't actually say this that often about real estate events, except ours, because we do have the greatest events. And, okay, it's voting season, guys. Come on. All right, come on. We are telling people to go vote. You're like, all right, you've said that a few times, too many. No, guys, seriously, this event is so much fun, and I think that's why we always join Quest and doing it. We've been doing this event with them for several years now, and it's all about just going out there, and it's cool because investors, real estate agents, and lenders will come up front and they'll talk about scary things that happen during their career, and they'll tell you these spooky stories and things to avoid and whatnot. But besides that, it's just about going out there, and people dress up. They wear their costumes, and there's food and stuff. I don't know. I like going to this event, not just because of the information, but because of the fun that happens.
Yeah, both of the events that are coming up are just going to be a lot of fun. I know that the PLF one is by invitation only, so unless you're really cool, then
unless
we
you're one
won't
of the
be
cool
seeing
kids.
Here. But the Fright Night, I believe it's open to anybody for Quest IRA.
Quest IRA, you guys, make sure you go online into Eventbrite. You can get your tickets there. They're absolutely free.
You can search it on Eventbrite. And guys, if you want to keep up with all these events, we have a Facebook page. It's called Houston Real Estate Events, and we're really trying to get as many real estate events up there, just to keep people informed, just to let people know what's going on. So please,
and just know that
follow us.
We're not just posting just our events. There are other people's events on.
If you have events, please send them to me,
Yeah.
David at White Picket Realty. I'd love to put them up